Well, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to the Madman Cafe, brunch with the Madman. Come on in, have yourself a seat. Hope you have a cup of coffee waiting for you there, Wayne, because I have one right here in front of me. Oh boy, it's Thanksgiving week. Welcome to the true holiday rush, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's going to be this season. You're hearing a lot of stuff on lockdowns, and it's just crazy. And, you know, a lot of people are not going to go by this. You're keeping families apart. And, you know, you said, well, you know, because we're not going to go into the COVID and all that crap on there. And I hear from a lot of people, says you're not even going to bother, you know, with the restrictions. I've heard certain police departments, especially in California, are not even going to enforce the rules that the governor there has given. They said we have better things to do than to run around checking people's houses. I mean, that is, what draconian thoughts were those? You know? But let's start off. I know it's Thanksgiving week, but, you know, let's look on the board. What do we have here? What's on the coffee menu? Ooh, let's see. It is the Joffrey's Amaretto again. Oh, let me tell you, and I keep saying this. This is a fantastic coffee. They have not paid me. They have not sent me stuff. None of this. But Joffrey's, if you're listening out there, if you want to throw a couple packages my way, I would appreciate it. But let me tell you, it is a great coffee. Let me take a sip here. Oh, my God. That is good coffee. And that's our coffee today. You know, I always love a good cup of coffee. Sometimes I have one, I have two, or I have three, depending on how my day goes. Normally, it's about 3 a day. I try not to go above that unless I'm really into an editing mode where I'm doing a lot of editing that day. But hey, you never know what's going to happen. Like this week, there's so much news. There's a lot of stuff coming. There's some big rumors out there that's coming through. And we're going to have a lot of that this week. I mean, we're hearing some book bannings. There's been an attack on the Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, Doctor Who, PS5 news, Disney Plus news. There's so much that's going to be coming this week. But here's the thing that we're starting off today, and I know you've clicked into it wondering what is going on. We've been discussing the bloodbath that has been going on over in AT&T Warner. There's many cancellations that are going on. Programming companies, Crunchyroll, CNN may be sold off. Before I get DirecTV, let me repeat myself. DirecTV, CNN, and Crunchyroll will most likely be sold off to balance out that $160 billion loss. $160 billion. You know how much money you got to make just to fix that? It's unfreaking believable sometimes when you hear the numbers, and you know, and most of it is caused by the greed on how you take in companies to the side that are bad investments, and you think you're going to make money off of it and try to fix it, and then when you go in there, take everything apart, and then suddenly politics and social justice warriors get involved and stuff like that, and you get a lot of damage. And also some of these companies are unrepairable, because you have situations where you've gotten in so deep, just like the company we're about to talk to today, that some of the employees have destroyed the monumental business. The company that we're about to discuss was a good company for many years. Created some great stuff. And then they cheapened the stuff by allowing people that should not be in this business, at all, to dictate what is going on, to create product that basically most of the consumers don't want. And that is a major problem. It is cultural terrorist or social justice, however you want to put it. I'm still looking for a good name for it, just a category name for it, because it is just a disaster when you see this. And this is happening straight across the fandom, that it's happening. And what is going on now, as they say, the ship is sinking, the Titanic is going down for the last time. And from what we're hearing from some sources, the end is very, very near for one of these two companies, and the second one is beginning to start to sink as well. And what I'm talking about is DC Comics. DC Comics, it, some of the best comic books in the industry, now has become just literally a joke in the industry. It's just lambasted with just pure social justice values that have been thrown in there just to click off check marks on a list, just to give diversity points. And I've gotten tired of this. I've gotten really tired, and I'm missing a lot of my comics. I mean, I'm good that I've gotten back into manga, and there's some alternative companies that are out there. And I know there are people out there, you're supporting Comicsgate, stuff like that. So who invented the word Comicsgate? And no matter what, is the social justice warrior, is the person that they just literally, the Mary Sue and all of them out there that just wanted to check mark everything and said, you got to have this kind of person in this, and you got to put this person in the comic books, or you have to have this person right. But those characters and those people have been in the industry for years. You can't force people into an industry that is a specific part of the industry that doesn't have any experience, that just literally doesn't have the, how can I put this, the balanced, whereas to take away what they believe and write a story that just is a straight out story and not put their politics into the storyline. Like anti-cop, anti-government, that basically, white man bad, orange man bad. You have all this that's being thrown in there. An article came out this past week in Bounding Into Comics, and it's a really good article. You're familiar with Ethan Van Sciver, who's been in the industry for 27 plus years, and he has that Cyberfrog comic that's done very well on Indiegogo. He has raised enough money to on there, and I think he's putting out a toy line too. He's working on a toy line, and his insiders, and I've heard this from a couple other people, they're saying that it looks like possibly June, the earliest. Some comics that are coming out probably in the early part of the next year, but after that, it's probably the end of DC Comics. And the thing about it is it's to the point where AT&T is done with this. It's totally, when you're deep in the red as AT&T is, you're going to cut things that basically doesn't make you money. DC Comics doesn't make money for anyone at this moment. You don't have diamond distributors like you used to. So now you've gone to two secondary parties, and now you've cut one and left with one party to handle all your distribution. What does that tell you at this point? You're down to one small distributorship. You don't have the customers. On top of that, comic book shops are pretty much gone. There's not many left. I'm in New York City. Where I'm at, I'm down to one comic book store in Manhattan Dead Center. From what I understand, there could be more. The three majors are still around, which is Midtown, Hanley's, and Forbidden Planet. There might be a couple little small ones in between. Some of the major small ones are gone, like St. Mark's. St. Mark's was one of the best places to get that side comic. If the main boys were out of stock, you knew St. Mark's would have it. Or if you're looking for that extra special edition, that you can't get anywhere else, St. Mark's had it. And they had the obscure stuff too. They had some great obscure stuff. We used to go in there all the time, especially on the weekends. On the weekends we would be there. It'd be crowded, but it was a good time to go. And now what we're hearing, and let me read it off of the article. Mark it as rumor, which, yep, every rumor has some truth to it. But it's a big one. DC Comics, after nearly a century in business, may join its sister app, DC Universe, later on 2021. That's right, DC Universe is pretty much done. They have moved pretty much almost all the video properties over to HBO Max. So why do you need DC Universe? I've already canceled my subscription. My subscription's already, it's gone. It's done. I no longer subscribe to DC Universe. And you know, a lot of other people are bailing out also. Later in 2021, in the dustbin of history. The news may be a rumor, but it's a big one, and it comes from an inside information provided to the comic book artist and creator Ethan Van Sciver, known for Cyberfrog and his celebrated run on Green Lantern, who says that an informant told him of AT&T's plan to shutter the legendary comic book publisher. Van Sciver has strongly believed that and said that in the last few years, DC would be sold off to pay off the debts the communications giant incurred when buying Time Warner. Yeah, that was one of the biggest mistakes. AT&T bought Time Warner, and that's when their problems really started to happen. However, Van Sciver also warned on his Comics Arts Pro Secrets Live. Yes, he does have a YouTube channel. Catch it. It's really good. You know, he does a lot of stuff on there. And he's been on other sites, too. He was on Friday Night Tights for Halloween, and that was a great episode. Live stream that the Doomsday intel regarding DC Comics operation is currently unverified. It is, but it's coming. It's coming. I received a tip, by the way, an unverifiable tip, and I gotta say, I don't know if it's true or not, but they're saying DC Comics will close down publishing paper comics in June of 2021. He said, I think they just solicited March Comics, which that I did check into. The March Comics listing is out. And I guess that if it is true, that it's going to be. Van Sciver blames the current political polarization state of comic books editorial staff for DC's rumored downfall, asserting that the comic books themselves have fallen into the hands of extremely irresponsible people in the editorial and publishing who have taken comics and turned them from good, fun, pastime, escapist fantasy into identity political evil, poisonous pamphlets that insult their own readers. That is also true. Alan Moore, creator of Watchmen, had mentioned in an article that basically the comic book was created for the young boy. And you may say, so, well, that's kind of sexist, isn't it? No, it's not. I mean, girls do pick up comics and they do enjoy comics. But the original, if you think how old DC Comics in the time period is, boys picked up comics and they grew up with that, and they were designed around boys. Now, something happened in the 80s and 90s, changed everything around, and it became a bigger business with teens and adults, young adults. You know, I grew up with comics. I grew up with the X-Men. I grew up with Superman, Batman, many different comics, and I still have a lot of them in my files. I have a decent selection. And Alan Moore says that, you know, that's the problem, is that basically you created something for kids, but yet now you have the mature adults on there. And that's why when he creates something in his graphic novels, it's just geared as a graphic novel. Graphic novel is a graphic novel. A comic book is a comic book. And that's how he puts it to the point. Think of a graphic novel as more like a book. You know, you're reading a book on there. It is for the mature. It's not for the young. As you see, most of his stories are. If you ever read Watchmen, which is one of the, you know, they don't consider it, but it's one of the most well-written literary books of all time. I mean, it is in Time magazine's listing of literary greats. It is listed there. It's probably one of the only times a graphic novel has been put on a listing of that, and the last one that will ever be put on the list. And it's the same thing with some of the awards that have been put out there for novels that basically The Watchmen has been awarded, and they said that'll be the first and the last time a graphic novel will be given this prestigious award. So this company was ruined, Van Sciver goes on to explain. It was ruined by far left-wing radical activists. Yeah, it is the left, but also some of the far right as well, I would have to say, too. But I mean, it's more toward the left. I mean, like I said, it's politics. You don't bring politics into the whole situation. Would I say invaded? These parasitic monsters use DC Comics as their host, their platform to change culture in an attempt to change politics. In the past, Van Sciver has been called out by former editor Andy Norrie, whatever it is, however pronounced, for hiring activist types, especially Eric Esquivel and Robbie Rodriguez. Yeah, these three are some of the worst people in the industry, and they've created some really horrendous stuff. I mean, just as bad as Daniel Kibblesmith, despite having the known history of harassing veteran comic creators. Yeah, and that's the other thing. When you look at the situations where they tell you, well, if you don't like it, go make one yourself, and you go out to make it yourself and you become successful, they try to put you out of business. That's not the American way. That is no way the American way. Competition is always good to have because you're always striving to be better. But see, the problem is with these people over at DC, for them is they are the best and no one can surpass them. It's either our way or no way at all. And this is how their thoughts are. The thought processes, I don't know if they have mental issues or they just literally don't give a shit. They don't belong in this industry to begin with. I mean, you have people that are in the comic book industry that came over from Gamergate and from other situations that have no experience at all in the comic book industry, and they're working in the comic book industry because they say, you have situations where they say they want to change this and that. I mean, there's a story out, and we'll talk about it on another edition. Going to be getting, CW is going to be getting that Superman and Lois series. Now, there was someone writing on the series, Nadira Tucker, and she was let go from the series because she wanted to change two of the characters on the CW series and make them black. And you may say to yourself, well, Zane, what's wrong with that? Well, the two characters they wanted to change was basically the Kents, Martha and Jonathan Kent. They wanted to change them to black. I mean, the outrage on that will be through the roof. See, like I said, they want diversity points, check marks. They said, well, it'd be better off if we changed them to black or, and you notice it's mostly black that they change them to, or transgender. There has been some Spanish, and they go Latinx. Most Spanish people don't even like to go by Latinx. We're Latin. I don't know where this Latinx came from or whatever it is. It needs to go away immediately. And a lot of other Hispanics are saying the same thing. It needs to go away. Whoever put this together. And it's somebody, that, not to be racist. It happened to be someone probably who was white that did it. That's on a far left looking for diversity points. Not to get, like I said, we don't get too political here, but sometimes an article that comes out, it gets a little crazy in how it does. But like I said, they wanted to change those two characters. Now, there is a way of doing this. But they won't do it because they want to change the main structure of the show. They want to change the true history of Superman. They want to completely wipe out and put in their own version, which would not work out. And this goes to show that they don't have creativity. They can't make their own, so they destroy others. But if you want a universe where Martha Kent and stuff like that are that way, there's a way of doing it, but not this way. There is a movie out called Gods and Monsters by DC Universe that DC put out, and it's very well done. And it's not woke, it's not diversity before you say anything, but it is a different direction of the Superman tale. I would take a moment, go check it out. It's really good. And in a way, it's coming from the multiverse theory on there. That basically, everything, one choice can divert into different directions, and this is in one of the multiverses. And the story goes that when Superman, before he was born, and the way they do it there, he wasn't, in most of the series you've seen, he was put in the rocket and he was sent out. In this case, they were sending out the DNA, and the DNA would grow as it goes to Earth. And the movie starts out on Krypton right before the detonation of the planet. And Jor-El and his wife were about to put their DNA together and put it into the ship and send it out. But they're interrupted by General Zod. General Zod comes in. Zod replaces Jor-El's DNA with his own, and it's sent out. And you would ask yourself, what would be Superman like if he was General Zod's bloodline? And that's what this whole thing is. And the whole thing on there is that when he arrives to Earth, the Kents report this. They don't find the body. They report the crash. But a migrant Mexican family takes him and raises him. So he's raised Spanish. So you have a Spanish Superman. The other half of the story is that there's two others. There's Batman and there's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is not from Themyscira. She is from Apocalypse, or actually from that universe, from the New Gods universe. The other, Batman, is actually the Man-Bat. So instead of Bruce Wayne, it is the Doctor who turned himself into like a semi-vampire, and that's what he is. And they created their own Justice League, which is a little bit more violent. Amanda Waller is president of the United States. Lex Luthor, from one technical aspect, is the good guy, in a way, the good guy in this, because he's the one advocating to stop them, as he does in this universe. He wants to stop Superman, but he has more of the people with him because of how this Justice League handles things. They don't sit there to rescue, they more damage control. In other words, they'll go in on a terrorist action, and basically they'll stop everyone and kill them. So do check that out. It is an unusual tale version from another universe point of view. But see, that's the way if you want to create your own, that's the way you create your own. But you also can't do it as a fan fiction. So when you get into the fan fiction, that becomes the Mary Sue end of it. So if you ever want to create a superhero tale on, your own, create your own. That's what I say. Create your own story. Disregard Superman in that universe. Disregard the X-Men in that universe, or any other universe, Spawn, or any other. Don't even do it. Create your own. Ethan Van Cyber has Cyberfrog. Sweetcast has Fatal. Alternative Comics, the companies the people that they deal with, they have some great ones out there. I'm about to get, at the time of this recording, I should be getting it in the mail today. Hopefully, if it doesn't get delayed a little bit longer, I should be getting my next batch of Alternative Comics, and I'll be getting the last 3 that I wanted. The 4th issue of that comic, the Void Walker, number 4, that of the Hitman and Demon merged together as one, and it's a real good story. Check it out on Alterna. Alterna has a good line of comics, independent stories, new types that you probably never heard before. Some dramatic, some horror. I'm getting one called also Tinseltown. I'm getting like the graphic novel of it. which is it's about a woman who is a security officer at a movie production site. Back in I believe it's the 50s, if I'm not mistaken on that. I looked at the premise and it looked really good. I mean, a security guard for for MGM or one of the companies, whatever company it is, I'll know when I sit and read it, and I'll let you guys know. But getting back to the article on there, last year Van Sciver also detailed step-by-step multitudes of steps taken by DC to alienate readers, especially Christians, in a thread in his own personal Twitter account. And you can go on Twitter and find those on there. We're not even going to go through those on there. Van Sciver also cited employees purges that have occurred at the company throughout the year as troubling developments that support the anonymous informant allegations. AT&T fired a big portion of their editorial staff in April, and just this week they fired the rest of them. Essentially, Van Sciver noted, we understand that from the sources at this point, there are no editors at DC Comics anymore. From my sources also, I'm hearing the same thing. I'm hearing all you're getting are the people who get coffee and the interns that are running the editorial right now. There may be one or two left as far as the upper echelon, but most of everybody else is gone at this point. He adds, a skeleton crew of low-level employees are running things. There are people who are just used to get coffee, interns, people who are making very much, people who are going to be running the company until it ends. And that's generally what happens when a company winds down, when they go out of business, is they basically fire all the high payroll. All the high payroll, and they just weed it down all the way until they get to the last guy, which is the maintenance guy. It's always the maintenance guy that's left, or housekeeping. The Comic Pro continued speculating, yeah, I see them wrapping up things perhaps by June, might be sooner, and switching entirely to a digital market, which is cheaper on there, but I don't know if it's going to last for them. The only thing left that they can do is to reprint all their old comics. That's the only way they can make some money back. You already seen, I think they've already pulled the Walmart ones already. I don't think they sell them anymore, but I may be wrong on that. You can tell me in the comments below because I haven't seen them recently. I think the way things are happening with 3-month increments, then suddenly change, it sounds right about me. Yeah, it just keeps changing. It keeps changing every couple of months. Actually, we're down to weeks now. We've seen a lot of changes, the round of layoffs that has happened. Sciver also suggested that DC chief publisher Jim Lee would also be departing. I've also reported that. I've heard the stories that basically either he's getting fired or he's looking for the door. That's a major possibility. I think that's the only thing that's pretty much the main detail left. If Jim Lee leaves or gets fired within the next 2-3 months, that pretty much almost nails the coffin for DC Comics. What's going to be left? It's going to be a mess. It is going to be, like I said, their back catalog is what they have to sell digitally. You know, and like I said, DC Universe is on its last legs. It's already pretty much, people are bailing out because what's left on DC Universe is the comic book side of it, and most people don't even tune in for that. You know, if you can't download it on there, they're not going to go to a site, pay a site monthly to get it. At the very least, this rumors shift from in focus to a digital publishing, which could mean DC Universe Infinite becomes Warner Media's next pet project. But unfortunately, here's the problem with Warner Media right now as well. Warner Media is also shutting down. They're beginning to wind down because basically the $160 billion loss, everything's been decaying in the company itself. And the reason we say that is 2 weeks ago, Warner Media had done another round of layoffs to reorganize it. So it is looking like Warner Media will be out. DC Universe Online will probably be there for a little bit longer, merged into something else. What will it be merged in? I don't know. DC has their own online systems within, and you know, Warner has been wanting to, with AT&T, they've been wanting to merge everything together. That's why you had companies like Adult Swim and Cartoon Network. They used to be on the outskirts, which basically they were able to run autonomy, without any backing from the company other than, financing and stuff like that. They were able to run on their own and do what their own. And then now they've been pulled in, part of the HBO Max banner, and now you see a lot of the changes that are going on, where you're seeing that Toonami, you're seeing a lot of changes that are going on Toonami. They're putting in like a more inexpensive animation. We've seen some of the stuff that's like the cheaper stuff has been put in there, which is like created on this side of the in the West and not from the East. Even though they are still buying stuff on there, but I've already said that basically Toonami is going to be the next failure toward them, the next casualty of this bloodbath. I think it's all going to be left up to Adult Swim and Cartoon Network as far as that side of the company, because you had Venture Brothers and a couple other series cut out. Eric Andre's been given an additional contract, and you're seeing cheaper animation come out of Adult Swim. So that isn't, when you look at that perspective of the business. Following in the footsteps of HBO Max, which is currently serving as the role streamer side of Warner's operations. HBO Max is running everything right now. And like I said, they have a DC Universe section. They have an Adult Swim section. And they have a Cartoon Network section. They don't have a Toonami section. They have a Crunchyroll section, but Crunchyroll may not be around too much longer. You remember, Crunchyroll may get sold to Sony at this point, which I hope that it doesn't happen. I hope it gets sold to somebody else. Because right now you have Toei and a dozen other companies banding together on a YouTube site to bring hundreds of animes on there. They already started putting stuff on there on their new site that they have on YouTube. And what is going to happen next, we don't know. But we know of the situations whereas dubbers here have changed the actual dialogue to reflect diversity, check marks and stuff like that on there, which is totally wrong. And I know 100% Japan doesn't like this. I mean, we have a lot of stories coming this way of stuff that's going on overseas besides Australia. There's been more banning of anime and hentai coming along the belt there, and we'll discuss that on our regular show, Man with the Show. Only time will tell if this rumor turns to be true. What do you make of this rumor? What do you think of the future of DC looks like without the comic book publishing division? Let us know your thoughts on social media or in the comments below. And that's what I say. Comment below. Let me know what you think of this. Because basically, this is just an insanity. It's an insanity when you see all this laid off and stuff like that. DC has been around, oh God, so many years, all the way back to Action Comics, and how much have they put through? How many stories, how many great stories are they on there? The other half of this story is also Marvel Comics. What we're seeing on their end, that they're starting to cut back. We saw a story recently, the beginning of the month, that Marvel was reusing almost an entire interior art between 2 issues of the X-Men comic book series. I mean, if you're reusing, artwork, I mean, that's about as bad. That's about as bad as an episode of the original Battlestar Galactica, when they had, if you ever see Battlestar Galactica, because it was so darn expensive, they reused a lot of the battle scenes. All you got to do is go episode to episode, and you can match it frame to frame. A lot of the Cylon battles and ship battles, and it was always looking the same constant. I mean, not to knock on Battlestar Galactica, that was a good show, but it was too expensive, so they had to reuse it. And there have been movies where they've reused special effects from other movies. You know, the Turkish Star Wars and a couple of the others, which is funny. That's funny in itself. But even there was 2 movies, Battle Beyond the Stars and Star Raiders, both by the same director. And the battle scenes that were used in Battle Beyond the Stars was taken and edited into Star Raiders. And that was because of the cost in nature then. And that's what happened here with Marvel. Now, on the Disney end of the business, we've already saw Disney lose about $5 billion in losses in the company, and that's a mixture of everything. That's from theme parks to productions. The movie theaters are shut down, so they've pushed that. And if you haven't caught the episode yet, which should be up, in fact, when this episode when you're watching this, I got word, and this is a major rumor. Now, you could take it as rumor. I can't get a verification on it yet, but if it's true, I'm hearing should see Black Widow on Disney Plus by April, and you'll have to pay an additional fee for it, like Mulan. So it's showing you that Disney is now scrambling to fix a lot of stuff. You know, and this happens to be part of the Marvel universe, and same thing's happening on the comic book end. You already saw that the New Warriors, which was by Daniel Kibblesmith, as everybody keeps saying, the new is the old, hasn't come out. It was supposed to have been out some time ago, and it's still listed on Amazon as temporary out of stock when it was never released. And it's amazing that, you know, and if you read the reviews that people have put up on there, I mean, this is one person that, if you don't know who Daniel Kibblesmith is, he was in one of those Bachelorette series on there, and it was just a laugh. I mean, this is someone who didn't deserve to be in the business. But yet, you know, he thrown his 2 cents as a contributor. And if you've seen the cover for the New Warriors, and it's just a joke in itself. I mean, this is the stuff that Marvel and Disney was funding, and you know, someone at Disney must have canceled. And then you also have Miss Marvel. The comic book has been canceled. There's possibly maybe a new series coming out next year. From the comic book end. You saw the video game, and we discussed the video game. The video game itself, up to today, now has lost 98% of its players. This is practically like Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare 360 on the 360 Xbox. You know, if you have that and you go to try play, it's very difficult to find anyone to play it. On the weekends, you might find somebody. On weekdays, forget about it. Don't even go play for it. And that's what's happening with this game. So it's showing you that there are divisions of Marvel that are not doing well as you think they are. And also, take a look at the quality of the Marvel comic books. They're not as good quality as it used to be. Check out the paper, how thin it is now, and all, you know, and how I mean, take a look at Miss Marvel. Look at this. This is the Miss Marvel. I mean, not Marvel. Captain Marvel. I got confused there for a second. The Captain Marvel they just put out recently. They just put this out recently, and she's attacking men and stuff. And look how it's drawn. It's horribly drawn. This is what they're suiting to be comic books, and this is why they're going downhill. Disney's probably looking to get rid of them as well, the publishing division. I mean, they're making deals with IDW as Scholastic, you know, to make other comics. I mean, I just saw the Star Wars comics recently. It's like, oh my God, stuff that's going by IDW. It's just... This is why guys like Ethan Van Sciver, Sweetcast, Alterna, this is why they're channeling out Keanu Reeves. This is why these independent comic book creators are coming out and then putting out some good stuff. And Marvel and DC and all these SJWs and Karens and all these Mary Sues don't understand why that this is happening. Because we don't want the crap you want. We don't want it. Plain and simple. How much more can these companies go with? That they're losing so much money in these companies. They're losing so much money that they allow them to let these people dictate to create garbage. Where are the investors at this point? Where are the investors? They should be screaming to the top of their lungs, asking for better leadership in these companies. I know AT&T alone, I told you, the blood is flowing. Disney is next on the lineup. If they don't get their house of mouse together, it's going to be a lot of more people losing their jobs, and a lot of their divisions getting cut. And I did report over in the last Brunch with the Madman that we talked about the writer for the novelizations for Star Wars. He hasn't even gotten paid. He has several novelizations out there, including Alien, Star Wars. He has a bunch of novelizations that's under the Disney banner, that was under the 20th Century Fox banner, and boom, he doesn't get paid for it, and he's waiting for his check. And it's incredible that this goes on. Oh, what is on? And I'm telling you, folks, do comment. Let me know how you're feeling about this right now, because it's just total insanity. You may go crazy and say, "Oh, Zane, you're crazy that these companies are going to go out of business." How can they go out of business? They are. It's just, for DC's end, they've already pulled the plug on the life support. Question is when the brain dies out. That's to have that analogy. When it comes to Marvel's on life support. It's literally beeping on life support. When you have comic books that doesn't even get released, that they're put on the websites and they don't even get a release, and you say, well, it's because of COVID. No, this was a long time happening. COVID just accelerated it faster. It was going to happen no matter what. Comic book stores were on its way out before COVID. I've lost a lot of great comic book stores, and I weep every day when I can't go to a comic book store. I have to order everything now these days. I love the interaction of going into a comic book store. I can't go into a comic book store where I'm at. I have to travel. Where I'm at, a good 90 minutes just to get to a comic book store. 90 minutes. Just to show you where I'm at in New York City. And you look to the perspective that people saying, well, we need all this and that in movies and TV. And it's like, no, we don't. We don't need it. Make your own. I got a story this week, Black Lightning, the cancellation on Black Lightning. Oh, yeah, that's right. They canceled Black Lightning. Twitter had a meltdown because of that. They had a meltdown. They were calling it, oh, it's racist. Yeah, they lost 2 million viewers. They're down to 500,000 viewers. What do you think CW and Warner Brothers are going to do? They're going to cancel. They're going to stop production on it. And we'll discuss that on another one. So, I'm going to go get a refill. You can go get a refill. We're going to take a break for just a moment. We're going to go over and check out Teespring in our break. So, when we come back, we're going to discuss your comments. We're going to go over a couple of your comments that you've said on our sites. And we'll discuss a little bit on that when we come back right after this. With the holidays well underway, you might be looking for that special gift. Check out our merch store at teespring.com, where we have the new winter gear out, from Madman Cafe to Madman with the Show. Shirts, hoodies, mugs, and even pillows. Use the promo code GravyCafe to get an additional 10% off your purchase now until November 25th. All proceeds goes to help this channel. That's teespring.com/shop-Q2cast. That's right, you have a couple days left with Gravy Cafe, that extra 10% off. Be sure to check it out, teespring.com. Welcome back. Still having the amaretto coffee. Let me just take a sip. Oh, nice fresh. She left me a nice pot of coffee today. Well, let's go over to the comments lines. Let's see what you have to say this past week or a couple days, however long these are. We try to at least respond to these now on video, much easier on there. If you haven't known that, all you have to do is look on the particular brunch man on the shows where it says we answer your comments. You'll know we've answered your comment then. We try to put it in the description line. So let's start out with TGW. And they say, MeTV is doing what Cartoon Network and Boomerang should have kept on doing. I guess they're paying for it in the viewership race. Hopefully they'll air 30s, 40s Looney Tunes, not the cringy 50s Chuck Jones shit like Boomerang. Depending on what MeTV got, I would assume they got the older stuff. They might have gotten some of the Chuck Jones stuff. Depends on the contracting. It's hard to say. I've been trying to get a response on that, and I would assume they've gotten a mixture. Knowing what MeTV is, that they're classic television, and they're known for just the classics alone. I don't see them getting anything above 1960 as far as the Looney Tune line goes. So you might expect some Chuck Jones, but hey, there are some Chuck Jones fans out there. A late friend of mine was a fan of the Chuck Jones stuff. And you're right, Boomerang was made for the classics, and they've changed so much in the years. And Cartoon Network. And remember, this is owned by Warner. It's owned by Warner as well. So when you see stuff that's on Cartoon Network and Boomerang, and it's awful what they've done with a lot of it, you'll understand why, because basically they've gone cheaper. They've gone politics as far as the Cartoon Network lineup, because you're seeing it just in their programming alone. I mean, you see some of the cartoon. How can I put it? Those unusual cartoon drawings that they do, and I think a lot of people have gotten tired of it. They've gotten really tired of it. I mean, we've already seen screaming about She-Ra. Once again, I think it was that Star Wars girl had mentioned some things, and then Twitter just melted down on her. And I think it Saturday night, Geeky Sparkles from Clownfish TV and that Star Wars girl did a live stream together discussing that and how the things that they've done with the cartoons. They said, well, we have to have the changes because you've too sexualized it. Back in the day, and then meanwhile they want, as they say, they want rainbow relationships, on there, and these are kids. So I wanted to say, oh no, you can't have sexuality with kids. You can't have them with big boobs and stuff like that. But meanwhile, they're pushing, transphobe and transgender, all this stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being gay. Understand that there's nothing wrong with being gay. If you want to dress like a woman, dress like a man, that's your cup of tea or cup of coffee in the case of this show. But there are people out there that they don't want that pushed upon them. You're pushing something upon them that they're not looking for that. They're looking for a good story. Whether they're gay or not, whatever minority they are, whatever disability they are, if you focused on that alone, to create the story, you're asking for trouble because people won't get you, and they just basically will walk away from it. And that's why this Saturday morning cartoons were the best. They were the best. I was just watching Mask the other day. I found some episodes on YouTube of the old Mask TV series. I loved that series. It was crazy as it was. I loved it. I've been finding a lot of stuff. I found Star Blazers. I found Mask, Duckula. If you haven't seen Duckula, I think it's the production house that's putting those up on YouTube for Duckula. There's a lot of it. A lot of it has strangely been put up on there. You know, because if you've never seen Danger Mouse and stuff like Duckula is sort of like a spin-off in a way. I'm not certain what came first, if it was Duckula first and then Danger Mouse or vice versa. But Danger Mouse is also available on Netflix. You know, it's another good series on there. Not the new Danger Mouse, the old Danger Mouse, because there is a new version. And you know, of course, Transformers, G.I. Joe, the Hasbro. I think it's Hasbro, or the production house has a live stream, 24-hour live stream that's going on YouTube. They're doing like the repetitive episodes and then the mini movies that they did. It was like the season premieres, which were mini movies that were done in episodes. And you know, you had Arise Serpentor, that was like four episodes, and they're putting it on there, and that was really good. And hopefully MeTV will expand a lot of this and bring other cartoons. I'm hoping for Thundar the Barbarian, if you know what I mean. I love that show too. Jeffrey Bokhari says, I would like to see the Incredible Hulk anime series from the 80s and 90s. And this is the same article from the MeTV. Unfortunately, Jeffrey, Disney owns the rights to that. In fact, if you go over to Disney Plus, a lot of the old Hulk animated series are available. I'm hoping they put on the 60s Hulk animation. It's a little cheesy, but it's really, really good. I mean, I'd love to see. They have that, Cap, Submariner, Iron Man, Thor. They're a really good series line. Some of them are around YouTube in a way, but they're being removed by Disney. But I would catch it when you can. Esme Alexandra says, Maid Cafe girl bars have existed for years, so I guess this means that there will be more LOL, bit scary. Alexandra, it is getting scary out there. Understand this. Yeah, maid cafes are a little expensive, you know, because you're paying to eat there and get a bit of a show and enjoyment, and they do charge a little bit, you know, a little bit above the top. But when you have the Yakuza in, they're going to end up charging a hell of a lot more. Like I say, they're going to charge you a couple of $100 US to $1,000 US to buy a drink for, you know, a maid in there. And, you know, when it comes to that, there might, you know, when you go to a maid cafe, there is no sexual touching or anything of that nature. So there's always that possibility with the Yakuza, you might have prostitution leak into there. And that becomes the scary part of the whole situation. And then the drugs start coming in. So we hope that the police is able to handle the Yakuza at this situation and resolve it, because that area of Japan is a great area. I mean, you see some of it in our Mad Men with the Show openings. That fast scene of walking through the streets, that is the Akaba district in Japan. And it is a nice place. It's a nice place to visit from the videos that I've seen and from the people that I know that have been there. I've had friends who've gone there, family members that have gone there, and loved the area because they were able to get some stuff out of there you couldn't get in the U.S. as far as video games and mangas and stuff like that and videos. Okay, Venture B. Could an animated show be, and this is concerning the Venture Brothers, could an animated show be produced 100% remotely with no risk of COVID contact? If so, may it take a little bit more attractive to streaming service to pick up? Very hopeful for season 8, but if not, very grateful for 1 through 7. We are in remote. We are totally remote. This show is remote. Um, Hopefully when I expand further, we'll be able to multi. We use here DaVinci Resolve. We're in 16 now. The new 17, when it gets put out, I think the beta is already out, will have more control where basically you can access from multiple people can have access to the same project. And you don't have to be in the same place as long as you have a remote to the mainframe or the drive systems. Basically, you're able to access that DaVinci project and work on it at your leisure. The only drawback is that you can't do anything. No one else can touch it until that person finishes. But it's like I could be here, another person could be in Jersey, another person could be in Chicago, and someone will work on audio, another one will work on the color grading, and I would handle the main editing. And that can be done. And it's the same thing with animation. Animation, it's all computerized now. It's a lot of the hand cells and stuff like that. They don't do like they used to. It's mostly done on Wacom tablets and stuff like that, and drawn, put into the computer, and then animated. I mean, you've seen documentaries on South Park, how fast they get South Park up. They do it within the week, and they're able to animate it and get it up and done. Boom. And out. So yeah, 100% you can do it. It's doable. It is doable. That is not COVID is not an excuse for a lot of productions. It's not an excuse for not producing. If you're an animated show, an Archer, South Park, or any of these other shows that are on there, Bob's Burgers, Simpsons, they could still produce. And same thing with the audio. Audio can be done at home. A lot of the actors can do it from their home. That's why there was what was that series? There was an NBC series that they animated it and had everybody do the audio from home because they couldn't do a live action version, so they did a small animated version of it. Forte the Fox. The discussion on lolicon and adult and all over story writing is one discussion, but have you asked yourself if the Communist Party of China may have possibly be controlling the trade between goods with Australia and Japan? Easiest and most efficient way to begin discussion with sexual goods. But to go back into your view and discussion, it is no way possible of escaping it. It is about legal language of sexuality of children will eventually catch up with the monetization of children. And this is concerning the ban in Australia, and that ban looks like it's going to be expanding very soon into other countries. What you're seeing is basically, and I say this, it is the boogeyman. One thing is, is there child predators out there? Is there child pornography? Is all that? Yes, there is. When you look at perspectives of the anime industry, the hentai, lolly, whatever, ecchi, so many terminologies in this business, it's not funny. These are cartoons. Now you say, well, it's anime. Yeah, but let's take it from the perspective. These are drawn, animated cartoons. Now, what people are perceiving as children are not children. They were very... on most of this stuff. The perfect example is the series that everyone keeps talking about her, and she's 19 years old with large breasts. They say, oh no, that's child pornography. But she's 19 years old. That's not child pornography. It's not child pornography at all. Is there sort of child pornography in the hentai business? Yes and no. There are some bad people out there, and it includes the adult industry. So you notice that they focus directly on the hentai industry and the anime industry, but they don't focus on the porn industry. Because porn makes them money. They have more control over porn than they do the anime and hentai industry, because Japan won't let them have that. They want their due. And it's the same thing with the sex toys and stuff like that, all the adult stuff that comes across on there. Because they're messing with the Japanese stuff. They're not messing with the stuff that comes from over here in the U.S. It only goes by whatever their law and regulation is. And you look to the perspective if China is involved. Yeah, you could say China is involved because you have a country that steals properties off of everybody else. This side of the country, you know that happens. That a lot of properties from here gets copied over there. But if you want to deal business with them over there, you got to go by whatever they tell you. And they control the business. You have to understand, they control the businesses over there. Plain and simple. And yeah, it is a fight for China to try to take over. You got to remember, they're already a footbed in the China Sea right now, in the South China Sea. They've already created military bases there, so they're becoming a big issue in that part of the world. And I said this a while back before my illness, that one thing we have to look at is what's going on in that side of the world. Between all the Asian countries, there are big issues, and this is what it's come down to. And the thing about it is, children are getting caught in the middle of this. And you have a movie like Cuties that basically puts 10-year-old girls in the forefront, but yet people criticize you for saying, "Oh, it's a black female director from Senegal," and why are you criticizing her? It says it's because of the way the movie was shot. This could have been done with teenagers. Why 10-year-olds? You did not have to use 10-year-olds to do this. And we're going to be discussing something that's going on in France this week, some bans. And Cuties is not the thing that's being banned. It's being put up for an Oscar. It's being pushed to get an Oscar. Shows you the hypocrisy of the whole situation. Moving on a bit. WNY Chevy, or Heavy 09. Here in Buffalo, it's WBBZ, channel 667 over the air. This is toward MeTV. MeTV is there in Buffalo, and in Los Angeles, it's KDOC 556 over the air. The only reason I read that is understand that for those of you who wondering about MeTV and never seen it before and don't have it on your cable systems, you can get it over the air. It is free over the air. Some areas it's not available because basically they partner with certain channel sites, but MeTV is working on trying to expand their umbrella of the channels, because basically they're one of the fastest growing TV channels in a long time. For a channel to grow in this atmosphere where streaming apps are king right now is fantastic. They have great classic shows on there. They have Alfred Hitchcock. They got Emergency. They got Andy Griffith Show. On the weekends, you got Star Trek, Buck Rogers, Svengoolie. Svengoolie is fantastic. All those movies on there. And now you're getting Saturday morning cartoons. What else are they going to throw on there? I've heard they're going to go with classic films next. Some old classic films. I guess to compete with the movie channel. There's another channel called Movies, spelled the way it sounds. And they show classic movies there as well, up to, I think, the 80s. I think they go up as far as the 80s is the maximum they go to. But they're also free all over the air also. So there's still over-the-air programming. They haven't gone away. They're still there. You can get this programming without cable TV or internet. David Farrar says, I think they'll expand. I really hope they add Disney cartoons as well as the first ones to have WB and Disney in the same block. And TGW below is, I hope it's not. I hate Disney. Anything with Disney, you're not going to see licenses are not going to go out. They're trying to fill their site. They're trying to push the subscribership. They've done well with their subscriberships right now. At the moment, I believe it's 73. They gained about 73 versus HBO, which HBO is struggling just a bit. And Programming right now is king. If MeTV buys anything Disney, it's going to be very old stuff. Very, very old. If you're looking at the new Disney stuff that's coming out now, the new Mickey Mouse cartoons, they're starting to look like the older stuff. Some of it looks really good as far as the animation. Some of it's a little crazy. But don't expect the Disney stuff on there. More likely Warner Brothers stuff you may see. You may see Sid and Marty Krofft stuff. You might see some stuff you haven't heard of ever before. Because there's a lot of cartoons and a lot of live action series from the Saturday morning eras that basically hasn't seen in decades. So, moving on here. One more. And this is the Japan story we did. Damn, it's getting unsafe to go to Akihabara. I went there in 2014 and 2018. It was really safe, but I guess it's getting dangerous like the U.S. now. Yeah, it is. It's, part of it happened to be the COVID situation. In Japan, in the dark red light districts, the cops took advantage of the COVID situation and really cracked down on the criminal element in those red light districts, forcing the Yakuza out. But the thing about it is, you get rid of your termites, but you don't kill them. You only just get rid of them, and they just creep up somewhere else. You get rid of them from the front of your house, but then they're creeping up in the back of your house. So, that's hopefully they'll get back to that, resolve it, clean out that district. I mean, for that district to go down, it'll be a shame for Japan. It'll be a shame and it'll be a shame for the industry, for the gaming industry, for the anime industry, for the manga industry, because those industries are thriving. They're thriving hard, and there are people who are trying to stop them. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. Everything has their dark elements. You're always going to have that, no matter what it is in film, TV, animation, collectibles and stuff like that. You're going to have your dark sides. But the thing about it is, when you're growing the way you are, and you have companies that want to take advantage of that and throw in their politics, or they want to make a buck out of it, there's nothing wrong with getting into the business and making a buck. There's nothing wrong. But when you try to twist or damage the industry itself, that's where there's a problem. Everyone should have their own chance to make it big. Whether you're an anime, whether you make movies for yourself, that's what's going to be coming forward, is the independent filmmaker, the independent artist. That's all coming back in. Because there are those out there that are crucifying the industry, and I just saw some paperwork recently, and I got to get the rest of it, of sheets that are being passed around Hollywood that are telling them what to do, how to produce. That's like telling an artist, well, no, you can't paint that way. You got to use this color, this color, this color. You can't do that. You can't stifle the artist. You can't do that just because you want to make 1% people happy. Remember, this is not a major group. If you had a gaming company bend the knee because of what one person said online, then you got to, you deserve to go out of business. You really deserve to go out of business at that point. You want to satisfy the abundance of the people. And that's the same thing in this district. Japan has to crack down on the Yakuza, because once the tourists come back, if the Yakuza is still in there, there's going to be a lot of crime problems. There's going to be a lot of crime problems. And so we end this little adventure. Thank you for those who have commented. I hope, if you haven't subscribed yet, I hope that I've earned your subscription. For those of you who have subscribed, please continue to watch. Thank you. And please share this video. We really do appreciate that. There's a lot going on, and we're going to hopefully bring all that to you. This is a holiday week. We will be producing. We will not be taking off. We'll probably be taking off about Christmas, but we're going to try to produce some stuff prior to that. But we still will be around for the Thanksgiving holidays. We will have brunch with the Madman on Saturday. Now, understand, the Saturday episode will be available on YouTube, and we'll be broadcasting it simultaneously on DLive. So if you don't feel that you want to watch it on YouTube, you can go to DLive at noon. We try to correspond the same time YouTube brings it online. The program will be running almost within about a minute of each other. And we're trying that because the reason why we're doing it that way is we're still testing the streaming, because we've had some issues. I don't want to go technical in there. And it has nothing to do with our end. It has to do with the back end. Because we've been noticing some glitches here and there. Because we have someone on the other end who's monitoring it and seeing some where we're getting circle, that's refresh. And we want to knock in, find out it's not our end. We want to make sure it's not our end, and then we can go to their technical and say, listen, this is what's going on. So we want to get all that information together. But unfortunately, we can't do it every time because we're trying to produce the shows, and then we're doing other things with our editing as well. So as the last cup of coffee is being poured into my cup, let me take a sip. Thank you for tuning in. And like I said, hit that subscription. From here on, this is even more, and I said this on Saturday, this is more important for you to subscribe now. Because YouTube is taking now our ad revenue. Ad revenue that we should have been monetized a while back. Now they're making money off of our shows without even giving us a penny. So they're making money off of us. So by getting us there, getting us to the level where we're supposed to be for monetization, that is a great help. That will basically put them into this perspective of saying, hey, this show is worth keeping. We should be paying them to do the show constantly. And that helps us. And also, don't forget the Teespring. Also, the money from there, the money that we earn from there goes back into this show. It goes back to help produce, get equipment, get more people on, hired to this program. So I want to bring more shows. I want to bring a different level of shows on here, and other people, other thoughts, other people, with other opinions to the stories. And just like, Friday Night Tights. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being there. Thank you for commenting and sharing this video. We will see you on Saturday on our next edition of Brunch with the Madman at the Madman Cafe. Don't forget, Wednesday and Friday, Madman with the show. Dude, keep that hitting that notification bell. You'll know when our episodes will be up. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the rebound. Enjoy your week, and just in case we don't see you for the next couple of episodes, have a safe, healthy Thanksgiving with your family. Hold up a glass of wine for me or a cup of coffee. I'd appreciate it, and give me a toast. Cheers to you. Bye-bye now.